Well, good morning, everybody, and happy Friday to you. This is Stella with today's edition of Better Life. I'm excited because I've got a program today that I think is going to really be encouraging to everybody. So if you're logging on, go ahead and share this. Go ahead and share, hit the share button, because our topic today is called, How Did They Know? How did they know? Now, let's talk about who am I talking about and who are they and what is it that they knew. So we're living, as we all know, in the end times, and there's a lot going on. There is a lot of drama going on with this whole indictment thing. There's a lot going on. You know, I'm choosing my words wisely because I know that I discovered that they can find your video 2 years later and give you a strike. So I'm making sure I don't have anything that anybody can say anything about. So there's a lot of drama going on, and we also know that the prophetic warnings have been in the atmosphere. You've been hearing people say that there is a shaking coming. We know that. We know that a hammer's going to drop somewhere at some point. And we also know that there are a number of categories that the hammer can drop in. We know it can be that we've got a financial crisis coming up. We've got a housing issue, a crisis coming up. We've got some natural disasters that are like sitting on the edge that they're watching. They're watching Yellowstone. They're watching the Cascades. They're watching the New Madrid. They're all of these. So there's just stuff out there. And so when you look at all of that and you ask yourself, Lord, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? How do I know what to do? People say, they're saying they've been burning all of these plants down. These plants, huge food plants, food processing plants, just exploding, all of a sudden catching fire. Dozens of them around the country. And so it's important for you to realize that we are in the end times and that this is an attempt. The Bible talks about, in the book of Daniel, it talks about the enemy or the forces of darkness trying to accelerate. They're trying to move, they're trying to compress time frames. And so we know that as being a part of the end times is we're in the last days, and we know that the last days is all about the return of Jesus. We know Jesus is coming back. And so with all of that, with all of those things transpiring, the spirit of the Antichrist, who has a very narrow window, he has a limited amount of time to do what he gonna do. And so what he is endeavoring to do is to compress time frames, to accelerate things. And so that's why you see all of these things. You see the elites, they are called, trying to compress. They're trying to do what's called the Great Reset. All of these things are an effort of the enemy to accelerate time, because he knows the Bible says that Satan knows he only has a short time, and so he's got a narrow window. And so everything that's transpiring right now, all of these negative things, even things that we can't explain, that we feel that people think they can't explain. Now, last month, in the month of August, today's September 1st, in the month of August, we did an episode where we were talking about the UFOs and what are they. Okay, if you didn't catch that Zoom call, then you need to go. You can still get the replay. Okay, so all of those things that we talked about, who are they? How are there really aliens? Are there really UFOs? Are there extraterrestrials? There are entities that are manipulating things. And these entities are not new. They have been here. They've been here all along. In fact, one of them got kicked out of heaven and took a third of the angels and was imprisoned on earth. His name is Lucifer. And so, now I can't get into all of that. So a part of what you are seeing is the ramifications of that, of Satan's fall from heaven, imprisonment on the earth, the fall of man. You're seeing a lot of the demonic activity. You got to separate fallen angels from demons, two different categories. Fallen angels are one thing, demons are something else. Fallen angels got kicked out of heaven with Lucifer. Demons are what are called Nephilim. These are the disembodied spirits of as a result of angels intermingling, having sex with females. Now, when the Bible talks about giants, you notice there are no female giants. There are only male. Okay? They're only males. And so as a result, when you see all of these things going on, we have traditional church and traditional people have no grid for some of this stuff. They have no measurement for it. And so when I say these kind of things, people go, what? Yeah. Well, yeah, there were fallen angels on the earth. And in Genesis chapter 6, those fallen angels, they were called watchers. They intermingled with humans. They had sex with women because these watchers cannot, there's no female version of them. And so these Nephilim spirits, okay, the Nephilim are the fruit, the male seed of humans and angels commingling. And so humans and angels produced Nephilim spirits. When the flood came, God says, I'm getting rid of all of y'all, because there was only one person whose DNA wasn't corrupted. That was Noah. And so now you look at all of this stuff that's happening. Well, why is this going on? Well, the Bible says, as it was in the days of Noah. So now you have to go back and look at a number of texts to figure out what was going on in the days of Noah and why God thought it was so important that he wipe everything out. And the reason he wiped everything out was these fallen angels had corrupted the DNA, the bloodline of the seed of man. So it was corrupted. And God is like, I didn't create that. And so these corrupt species called Nephilim, okay, when the flood came, they were destroyed. And so those entities which had bodies then became disembodied spirits, which are demonic spirits. Okay, and so what you see is all of these demonic spirits are always looking for bodies. They're looking for a body to live in. Now, all of that being said, now a lot of people have no reference point for any of what I just said. And for many people, it's just going to be like right over their head. And it doesn't matter if you have a reference point for it or not. It's biblical, it's factual, it is happening right now. And those disembodied spirits and those fallen angels are still here. They're still here. The Bible talks about there being giants in the earth. Well, there are still indicators that those giants, that versions of them are still here on the earth now. Now, are you going to see that on the 6 o'clock news? Not right now, but it's coming. Rest assured, you can mark this video September 1st, 2023. Not many days hence, you're going to see people start talking about the return of these species, these aliens. They're going to be describing them. They're going to be saying that these aliens they're here to help us. They're here to guide us. They're here to teach us stuff. They're here to show us things. They're here to help man in his next evolution. No, they're not. They've been here. And Satan has one unique strategy, actually has three, but the number one strategy that he uses above all of the other strategies, the number one strategy is deception. And that's why Jesus kept saying in Matthew 24, he said it 3 different ways. Don't be deceived. Let no man deceive you. Be not deceived. Why? Because he knew that Satan was only going to employ the same strategy that he had been employing all along. Which means in order for us to not be victimized by a spirit of deception, we're going to have to know some things. We're going to have to be aware of some things. We're going to have to do some things differently. And if you don't know, like the basics of what I just explained, then you need to, well, one, you can get the replay of the lesson last week. We talked about that. But then you're going to need to understand what I'm touching on today. You have the only answer for deception is you have to have discernment, okay? You have to have discernment, and you have to have an awareness of what is going on, why it's going on. And there are 4 quadrants of information that once you get discernment, that you can filter things through to get some insight. Now, what I want to talk about today is, how do you know what to do with that? How do you know how to be discerning? Where do you get discernment from? What is it? There is a tribe, and you hear people talk about it all the time. It's actually in Genesis 46:13. So let's go there. I'm going to pull that up on my computer really quickly. Genesis 46:13. Because in this hour, while the enemy is working to accelerate things, it's important for us to know, what do I do? So let's go there. And so in the Bible, we know that Jacob had 12 sons. And one of the sons, his name was Issachar. And you hear people say all the time, talking about the sons of Issachar. These were a tribe of the tribe of Israelites who had the ability, and the scripture says, to discern the times, so that they would know what Israel ought to do. They could distinguish. So let's look at that. So let's talk about the sons of Issachar, because the question is, how did they know what to do? So let's actually, there are a couple of passages that's really important. Another passage that talks about this issue of discernment is Daniel chapter 2, verses 20 through 23. I want to read that. It says, "Then Daniel said, 'Praise be to the name of God forever. Wisdom and power are his. He changes times and seasons. He disposes kings and raises up others. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. I thank and praise you, God of my ancestors. You've given me wisdom and power. You've made known to me what we ask of you." Now, when you are living in a time frame like we're living in now, there are many questions that are going to be hanging over our lives. Like right now, we know we've got an economic crisis. So people will say, well, they're talking about the devaluation of the dollar. What does that mean to me? What do I need to do? Do I need to buy crypto? Do I need to buy gold? What if I don't have any money to buy crypto or gold? What do I do? Do I need to stock up on food? You see, those are just some of the questions that are essential for you to have an answer to as it relates to what needs to transpire for your family, for you and your family. And so in order to have an answer for those kind of questions, you have to have what's called discernment. You need to be able to separate out facts from fiction. You need to be able to separate truth from lies. You need to be able to separate, you need to be able to prioritize what's important as it relates to your family. And so looking at that, we read about the sons of Issachar, and the thing that made this tribe particularly unique was that they were able to discern something. So in 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verses 23 and 32, it says, "Now these were the numbers of the divisions that were equipped for war, and came to David at Hebron to turn over the kingdom of Saul to him, according to the word of the Lord. Of the sons of Issachar, who had understanding of the times." Now, that's critical. So one of the first markers of this particular tribe is they had understanding of the times. In other words, they could look at what was transpiring in that moment, and they could weigh they could prioritize the series of events, and they can say, okay, this is what's going on, this is what's likely to happen second, this is what we need to examine third, and then they looking at the conditions and say, we're making these judgments based on these conditions in the earth. Okay. So the sons of Issachar had understanding of the times. And then here's the second element of, because they understood the times, they knew what Israel ought to do. In other words, they knew what action to take because of what was going on. So the sons of Issachar had understanding of the times, and they knew what Israel ought to do. Which means if we are in the same category, how do we have understanding of the times, and how do we know what we need to do about the things that are transpiring in the earth right now? Now, so the question is, how did they know? How did the sons of Issachar know? That, my friend, is what I'll talk to you about on another day. Because the sons of Issachar, their names, now this passage that I read to you was actually 1 Chronicles 12, 23 and 32. This passage was them historically. But when you look at the names of the sons of Issachar, their names prophesy to the time that we are in right now. So in order to know how they knew, the first thing we need to know is, well, what were their names, and how did their names prophesy to where we are? Let's look at it. So let's look at the names of the sons of Issachar. So the first son of Issachar was Tola. Tola. Now, it's interesting that the name Tola means worm. Okay? Now, one of the things we just noticed that we read when Daniel was praying to God about what God had allowed him to see, he said, he reveals deep and hidden things. So the first son of Issachar's name, Tola, meaning worm, is an indication that in this hour, you are going to need to have access to the deep and the hidden things. A worm lives below the surface. They are underground. They have a vantage point. And worms come up, they come up to get air. They come up. They are the indicators of the condition of the soil. You can tell how rich soil is by the worms that are in it, by the number of worms, the quality of those worms, the size of those worms. They're like a barometer of the soil. And so the name Tola speaks to the capacity to understand the deep things. Now, what are deep things? What deep things, when you look at the circumstance of your life right now, what you're dealing with, what opposition are you having? What are you having an issue finding a job? Are you having an issue with one of your children? What is the deep underlying factors that you need to get insight about so you will know what to do? And the reason you don't know what to do is because you don't know what's the deep thing, the hidden thing that's actually the real problem. And now, when I say you don't know the deep things, the hidden things that are a real problem, is one of the indicators is that there are spiritual forces at play working in the lives of your child, or working in your business, or working in that you are not aware of. And those same demonic entities that I just told you about that were destroyed when God sent the flood and told Noah, you get yourself on the boat, you and your family get on the boat. I'm just telling you, when they got on the boat, God locked the door. And when God locked the door, he destroyed everything that was on the earth. Why? Because the Nephilim spirits, those fallen angels, had corrupted the whole planet with these vile Nephilim demonic spirits. So when you don't know what to do, it is an indicator that you've never cultivated the ability to look below the surface to see, so that God can reveal the deep and the hidden things you need to know. You need to know what lies in darkness. A worm is under the ground. It's in the darkness. So Tola, the first name of the son of Issachar, is a prophetic message to you right now that you must cultivate the ability to see the deep things. You must cultivate the ability to recognize the hidden things. You must cultivate the ability to know what lies in darkness. So one of the reasons the sons of Issachar knew what to do was because they saw the deep hidden things. They knew what what was in the darkness, and they knew how to access the light. They knew how to shine the light on the circumstances so that they could get insight about what to do. So remember, I told you that the Issachar had 4 sons. And the name of the first son was Tola, which means worm, which is a prophetic advance warning for our time, saying that in this hour, in order for you and your family to survive, to be sustained, to thrive instead of just get by, you must know, you must get revelation about the deep things that are not readily seen. You must have access to information about the hidden things. You need to know where to look. You must know what lies in darkness, what is in the darkness, and what impact can that thing have on you. And you need to know how to turn the light on so that you can see what others cannot see. Okay, that's the first son of Issachar. Now, Issachar had 4 sons. Let's look at the second son. So the first son was Tola. The second son of Issachar, his name was Puva. Puva. Now, Puva is actually a derivative of the word Pei, which is one of the Hebrew alphabet. And Pei means mouth. Now, it is one thing to look at circumstances, to see the things that are hidden, to get revelation about the things that are below the surface, that are impacting you, that are impacting this nation, that are impacting our country. Now, remember when Daniel, one of the stories about Daniel is when he was seeking the Lord for an answer, he fasted for 21 days. And at the end of the 21-day fast, Daniel gets an answer. And the answer is the angel comes and he says, look, Daniel, from the time that you started praying, I was trying to get to you with the answer right the first day. He says, but I couldn't get to you because there was a prince, I believe the prince of Persia, who restrained me. There was a demonic entity that was restraining him, which makes you stop and ask, if there was a demonic entity that stopped the angel from getting to Daniel, then those demonic entities are still here. They have not moved. They are still imprisoned on this planet. So those demonic entities, they stopped the answer from getting to Daniel. Daniel persisted for 21 days until the angel broke through. Why? How did the angel break through? God sent reinforcements. God sent another angel. He sent Michael to help the angel who was trying to dispense the answer that Daniel was seeking. And so now we see that the second son of Issachar, if you want access to the information, the insight, the revelation, the hidden things, and know how to shine the light on the circumstances so you see what the real issue is the spiritual aspects along with the natural aspects. You can't, a lot of stuff that's going on right now, you can't deal with it in the natural. You must deal with it in the spiritual. Whether you believe in spiritual entities or not, whether you believe that Nephilim spirits are disembodied demonic spirits that were drowned during the flood and they're still here, and those demons, those fallen, those disembodied spirits are impacting. And trust me, there are some assigned to you, they're assigned to your family, they're assigned to your house, and you must know what to do about it. And so some of our children are acting crazy, and you wonder, you're just thinking the kid is hard-headed, and you don't realize the child is acting crazy because he's dealing with demonic forces that he has no knowledge of what to do. And he's just those children are being influenced and impacted at a level of the demonic that we, as my generation, we have no idea. We have no grid for it. And so a part of understanding, once you see the things that are hidden, if you are going to be an effective person in the kingdom, you must have access to the anointing that the sons of Issachar had. The first son, Tola, had the capacity to see the things that were hidden, to understand the things that were in darkness, to recognize all of these elements of a whole other realm that's impacting us. And if it's impacting me and I don't know what to do, how do I figure out what's going on? And then once I get that insight, now I need to tell other people. I need to let other people know. I need to be able to speak in a way that other people can grasp, comprehend, ascertain, and get it. Why? Because if I can see it and I know what to do about it, I am still not effective if I cannot communicate it to the other people who need to know so they can take effective strategic action at the same time. So the word pay, my mouth, or Puva, the second son of Issachar, speaks to the capacity you are going to need in this hour to communicate to people some of the stuff that I just said. You're going to have to learn how to say this too. You need to understand that UFOs and AOVs, or whatever they're calling them, these unidentified flying objects, that these are not aliens, that they are not from another planet, that they are fallen angels and Nephilim spirits. And the reason the reason you look at things like the pyramids, or you look at at some of these the monolithic stones and these constructed sites and these huge boulders and pillars of buildings, and no one knows how they got put together. They did it because they had access to a level of knowledge coming from the realm where God existed. They had insight that a lot of it they taught to men. In fact, if you read the book of Enoch, it describes some of the things that they taught mankind. Things about astrology, things about science and technology. They built that stuff. Now, you don't have to believe me. I don't care if you believe me or not. But I live under the influence of this anointing, this Issachar anointing, this ability to look at things, to see what's going on, and to say, this is probably what you might want to consider doing about that. Okay, I'll give you an example of what that looks like. Okay, so the first son of Issachar was Tola. He spoke to the concept of looking below the surface, of getting access to revelation, of seeing into the dark and recognizing what things are going on behind the scenes that are really creating the basic problem. Hi, Nicole. It's good to see you. Thank you for hopping on. Let's talk about the third son of Issachar, because the sons of Issachar prophesy to the time that we are in right now. So the third son of Issachar was Jashub, or Job. It's pronounced in two different ways. And that name means he will return. Now, I find it interesting that the name of the third son that came, that spoke to this whole concept of the end times, everything that's transpiring. Scripture says that the last days, or the days before the return of man, the return of the Son of Man, who is Jesus, that it would be as it was in the days of Noah. And so now the third son of Issachar, Jashub's name means he will return. So it is a prophetic message to us saying, look, the reason you need to understand these things is because in that hour, you will be closer to the return of Jesus than at any other time in history. And there are things that you need to be able to measure, to barometer, to get a grid for, because they will be your markers in time. They will be your time clock, so you will know what to do. Okay. Now, what are some of the markers? Now, there are a number of things that you need to, when I talk about that, we talk about being able to look at things, being able to get revelation, being able to see clues. We talked about having understanding about the things that happened historically, and having understanding that these are spiritual parallels, that these are the demonic demons had a source. They had an origination point. They just haven't been here all along. No, they originated from somewhere, and then you want to know where they came from. So if you have an understanding of that, then you also understanding that Jesus himself took the keys of death, hell, and the grave. You also can understand that when people are talking about alien abductions, these people aren't lying. They're being abducted by demonic entities. And then one of the reasons that you find all of these examples of these abductions with experiments being done on people's sexual organs with collecting sperm cells, and with and women saying that they're having embryos planted into them, and then these babies being taken, is because the Nephilim have no reproductive capacity. These demonic spirits don't have the capacity to create life. They don't have the ability, like a man and a woman, to put a sperm and an egg together, put it together, and the spark of life takes place, and a human being receives a soul and a spirit, and it's planted in the body, because that is God ordained activity. Only God has the power to put a human egg and a human sperm together and to let it connect, and a spark of life, a spark of energy occurs. And once that spark occurs, a human being receives a portion of a spirit. Its spiritual identity comes from God. And Satan, his Nephilim, and all these demonic spirits that you're going to see more about, and rest assured, they're going to show up. Somebody's going to show up soon. I'm telling you, you can mark today's date, September 1st, 2023. You can say, Stella said. I'm saying it now because somebody got to say it. Soon, they're going to show up and saying, these are our friends from another realm. No, they're not from another realm. They're from another dimension. They're from another spiritual place, but they are not from off there. They cannot leave this planet because they were imprisoned here. And the fallen angels had sex with women, the daughters of men, and produced a race of male giants. And those giants were drowned at the flood of Noah, at which time they became disembodied spirits. And there was another category of them that God imprisoned, those fallen angels. God said, look, I'm so pissed off at y'all. I'm going to put y'all so far deep under until only I will be able to let you out. And so God did. He punished those fallen angels for doing what they did by putting them into a place called, I believe it's Tarsus. And so now when you go back and you look at the information and you see all of the details in the Greek mythology, the Roman mythology, you see the Native American Indians, every race of humanity on the planet has an account of Noah's flood. Why? Because God wanted to make sure everybody, I want to make sure everybody understands that this is what transpired. God says, I took them out. He took them out. And he did it because he said those fallen angels had corrupted humanity so much that he could not salvage them. He only had one man. When it says Noah was perfect in all of his ways, it's saying that his DNA was not corrupted. And so we see two sons. The first son of Noah, Torah, worm, see below the surface. Second son of Issachar, Puva, speaking, the ability to speak and decree what you see with wisdom, clarity, so that others can recognize what's going on too. Third son of Issachar is Jacob. He will return. You need to see and understand this stuff because Jesus is coming back. Jesus says the marker for our end time was as it was in the days of Noah. So shall it be when the Son of Man returns. So he told us. And so here's the last son of Issachar, Shimron. Shimron means to watch. Now that's fascinating because remember, the names of the sons of Issachar are a prophetic message to our time. So that if you want to succeed, if you want to thrive, if you don't want to help me, Holy Spirit. If you don't want to look at TV and go, what in the world is going on? I just don't know. Wow, are there aliens? Are there UFOs? Yes. They are, let me identify them for you. They are not unidentified. Let me identify them for you. They are Nephilim spirits. There are categories of Nephilim. There are Nephilim spirits, and a Nephilim spirit is when an angel intermingles his seed, which was forbidden by God. When an angel intermingles his seed with a woman, Nephilim spirits are all male. There's no indicators in any text anywhere that there were female versions of Nephilim. They were all male. And so these Nephilim spirits were drowned during the flood, and it produced species of demonic entities, disembodied spirits. Now, Shimron is saying, so look, check this out. You're going to have to watch. I need you to watch. I need you to watch what's going on, because if you will watch what's going on, you will be able to distinguish danger when it's coming. You will be able to discern lies when you're being told. You'll be able to say, no, those entities that are coming here saying they're here to help mankind ascend to its next level of old development. No, that's a lie from hell. It's the same lie and deception. The same devil that deceived Eve in the garden is still lying and deceiving people today. And you must watch. We must have the capacity. I don't mean to say you. We must watch. We must have the capacity to look at things and discern what is going on so that you know what to do. So these 4 characteristics are what made the sons of Issachar have the ability to discern the times so that they knew what Israel ought to do. And these are the same capacities that you need to cultivate so that you can discern the times so that you will know what you and your family ought to do. And that's why. So the 4 sons. The first son, Torah, means worm, looking below the surface. Second son, Puva, means pay, means being able to communicate what you see so that others can grasp it. The third son of Issachar, Jeshub, the reason you need to see and be able to communicate is because Jesus will return. He is coming. We are living in the time frame that Jesus talked about in Matthew 24 and 25. This is the time. And since this is the time, we need to watch. Now, what do we need to watch for? And what are the skill sets that we need to measure the circumstances by? That, my friend, is for another day. I gotta go. I hope this has helped you. If it has, then would you do me a favor? Would you share this post with 4, 5, 6 people so that next Friday when I get back and I come back on here and I'm going to be talking about the 4 quadrants of things that you need. These are the tools. There are 4 tools that you need to be able to use so that you can discern, so that you can tie this from your circumstance to that you're dealing with right now to using these capacities. What are those quadrants? What are those things? How did they do it? How did they know? How did the sons of Issachar know? Well, that's what I'm telling you today. They related everything they were able to relate everything that they did to the 4 abilities that were resident in their names. Well, I am done for today. I want to say thank you guys for hopping on here. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And next Friday, I'll be back again. I'm trying to get back into my routine, get back into my schedule. And next Friday, we'll be back and we'll share it again. Until then, you know what I always say. Thank you so much for hopping on here with me. Until next time, you make it a terrific day. Bye-bye.